What's up, everybody? It's your boy J Alpha. Welcome to my channel. Here we're going to discuss finance, investments, business, overall money questions. We're going to just also discuss policy a little bit. We're going to try to stay away from politics, but I think some of the stuff that's going on now kind of deserves our attention or opinion. I've had the idea for this channel for quite a while now, and I've decided not to because I've been grinding over the last couple of years. I also recently had a kid, so I haven't been able to kind of lend any of my attention to this. But over the last few years, I see a lot of people on the internet who talk about business, who talk about money, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So, to give you a little bit of background on me and my credentials and why I have a valid opinion on some of these things that are going on in the world. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I think I started my first business when I was 12 years old, cutting grass in Elk Ridge, Maryland. Going to neighborhoods, cutting their grass for $20, $30. Up until now, where I'm a successful businessman, I own a few different companies. I have a bachelor's degree in finance. I have a master's degree in financial technology from the great University of Central Florida here in Orlando, which is where I'm based out of. I have an extensive career in a lot of different industries, from restaurants to food trucks. I've franchised stores, large franchises that you've heard of. I've worked in the investment industry. I am a licensed professional, FINRA Series 7 license, and also had a Series 63 that have since lapsed. I haven't been in the industry for over 2 years, so if you're familiar with that, that's how it works. So, we are. I think what I love about this industry and what I love about business is it's always about learning. It's always about getting better. And, like my grandfather used to say, if you think education is expensive, well, try ignorance. And people who are financially illiterate, they're targets for people to be taken advantage of. And there's a lot of bullshit on the internet these days. People think money is money phones and Bugattis, and where a lot of these people on the internet are fake as shit. I got to be honest. To give you an example, my first job right out of college, out of my undergrad, I was a financial advisor. And when you start off as a financial advisor, before you get your licenses and everything, what you're essentially doing is you're trying to find clients and you're selling insurance, right? So I would find I would find clients who I thought probably had some money. They either drove a nice car, or they had a big house, or they wore a nice watch, something like that, right? And I would bring them in and sit down with them with my mentor and boss, and see how we can invest their money. And what I found is most people are bullshit. Most people are living, especially in America, are living way beyond their means. I would bring people in for a consultation with us, and we would sit down. They drive $100,000 car. They live in $1 million house. They make $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, which is a pretty good salary. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But their expenses are $25,000 a month, $30,000 a month, and they're living paycheck to paycheck. And they came into the office thinking that we were going to help them get out of debt, uh, essentially become cash flow positive, where that's not the case. We're investment managers. Our job is to invest and manage your excess income. So if you don't have excess income, there's really nothing for us to do. So I would say out of the people that I identified as, prospects, I would bring them in. I would say 80% of them were living way above their means. And, my first boss, very great man. I used my first internship in college was I worked for UBS, United Bank of Switzerland, and my first boss, he managed a $2 billion fund, and he lived very frugal. He drove a 10-year-old Cadillac DeVille, and I used to ask him, what do you do with your money? And he says, buy businesses. And ever since then, I've been following suit. Especially after that experience as being a junior financial advisor. Since that time, I've been living way below my means. I don't drive a fancy car. I don't wear fancy jewelry. And my house is I have a good amount of real estate overall, but the house that I live in is exactly what I need to survive. So, um, to me, money is freedom, money is power, and there is a little bit of, depending on what you're doing for a living, perception, but overall, I think, you got to have money in this world, and you have to have assets, and you have to stack that up. So so here we are. Welcome. Hopefully, I can help you guys out. I've helped people out for free over the last 20 years. And, I'm only here to help people out. I've watched a lot of other financial experts online, and I think the common theme that I see is a lot of these people are using their audience as another income source. And don't get me wrong, I have a YouTube channel. I'm starting channels on many different platforms, but at the end of the day, I'm not trying to rob my constituents, so to speak. And you see a lot of these guys like Brother Polite. What is the guy who, the real estate guy, Grant Cardone, Earn Your Leisure, and not to talk bad about these guys, but you know, they sell they sell events. They're charging you tickets, sometimes outrageous amount of prices, for you to go and listen to them speak, and you're not really getting much out of it. You know, I think it's kind of preying on people who already are having money issues, and you're just kind of taking more money from them. So, I deeply disagree with that structure. And, my information is free. I'll never charge you for it. So here we are. Welcome.